Hi guys, hope you're well. Welcome to Raising Spirits with Nolan Woods. We're hanging out at the home bar today, here to talk to you guys about how to stock your home bar. But my home bar has been built up over a period of, say 8 or 9 years, and it's getting pretty extensive. Not just in the actual bottles and the liquor itself, but also the accessories and all the little trinkets that you need to actually build up your home bar. Starting to spill all over the place. So instead of me just standing here today and saying you should get this and that and not get this, what I'm going to do is give you guys an idea of thinking about it so that you should be able to build your home bar up and maximize the money you spend, as well as have a totally customized bar that is completely suited to how you like to drink. So the way I think a lot of people tend to set up their home bars is they buy a spirit and then they try to buy a lot of stuff to go with it. I think you should kind of work backwards and think about what is your favorite cocktail. And then buy all the ingredients you need to make that cocktail and start with that. That's your home bar, and then build it off of that. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go through 5 different spirits, very famous ones that have known the world over, and I'm just going to give you guys some ideas. Different mixes and possible liqueurs and things that go really well with that spirit. And hopefully that'll give you guys some kind of a blueprint. Hey guys, so without further ado, this is how to stock your home bar. Not for anybody else, but for you guys. All right, let's get into it. Okay guys, so the first spirit we're going to talk about today is going to be, of course, vodka. I mean, vodka, if you're starting a home bar from the ground up, vodka is a really great one to start with because it's really the king of mixing. You can pair it with so many different things, and the list is really just endless. One thing I should start with is you should keep lemons and limes available in your fridge, irregardless of what spirit you have. Citrus and alcohol are kind of best friends forever, and vodka especially. So some good things to go with vodka are going to be things like orange juice, lemonade, iced tea, or cranberry juice for mixes are always going to be really nice. As far as like liqueurs, you guys can go with a dry vermouth or sweet vermouth as well. I like to have dry vermouth around because that's how you make martinis. And you can have things like peach schnapps, really good sweetener, a lot of flavor in peach schnapps. Women really like peach schnapps, I find. I don't know. Well, I guess it's just because it's sweet. But it's a very good pair with vodka. And even something like Kahlua. You can make some pretty classic cocktails with vodka and Kahlua, like the White Russian or the Black Russian. A lot of people, there's some mixed feelings out there with dairy drinks, which the White Russian is. But I like a good White Russian myself. And some really classic cocktails that you can make using vodka are going to be things like the Martini, the Moscow Mule, and the Cosmopolitan. So it's a super versatile spirit, and if you're not exactly sure which spirit to start your home bar with, then I think by default, vodka is always going to be a really good option, because it really is, in my opinion, the king of just mixing. Because vodka tends to be a little bit lacking in personality in regards to flavor. It's just a very generic spirit, in my opinion. I mean, I'm sure you're going to have some guys in like Siberia or something that drink it straight and, they just love their vodka like that. But around here, most of us use it as a mixing spirit, and we mix it with other things. So, vodka is a great start because it's super versatile in its mixing capabilities, and it's always very, very good to mix with anything that I said on the table here, and so much more. So vodka is always a good start, guys. Okay, guys, so the next one on the list is going to be gin. Now, gin's a really interesting one. For those of you who might not know exactly what gin is basically a relatively generic spirit, similar to vodka, that's already been distilled once and then is distilled a second time using juniper berry as the primary ingredient. And that's where you get the signature flavor and aroma from gin. Like a lot of people smell it, it tastes like pine or something. Well, it comes from the juniper berry. So that's what gin is. And it's a very, very fresh, very clean, very crisp tasting spirit. gin's really grown on me. Like I never used to be much of a gin drinker, but I actually do like a nice gin cocktail nowadays. And some things that pair with it really, really well would be, things like club soda and tonic water, as well as, liqueurs such as triple sec. Because, one thing gin is lacking is that little bit of sweetness, and you can get that from something like triple sec. Uh, Rosemary is a great garnish to go with gin. A gin and tonic with a sprig of rosemary in it is absolutely delicious. And, speaking of drinks, like some really good gin drinks that you could make is, like I said, a gin and tonic or a Palm Beach or a gin sling. So it's a lot more versatile than I think people realize. Maybe do some research if you're going to buy gin as your first bottle. But it's still a very, very good option, and there's a lot of different things that you can do with it. Try to think of it as like a very specific type of flavored vodka is essentially what gin is. But there's a lot of different drinks you can make. And like another really great one would be the gin Moscow Mule. So instead of vodka, you use gin, and it just offers a lot more, not just flavor, but aromatics. And it's a really good drink. So gin, guys, would be another option for your first bottle, and it's really good. So gin. Okay, guys, so up next on the list, we've got whiskey. Probably my personal favorite spirit, which is why I've got a decent amount of options. I have, Crown Royal, good old Canadian Crown, Little Wild Turkey 101. One thing about this particular bourbon is, for the price you pay, guys, I think that this is a very, very good quality bourbon. I know there's a lot of, bourbon aficionados out there who probably look at this one because they're used to drinking pretty top shelf stuff, but for the price you pay, this is such a delicious bourbon. But it's not too expensive that you feel bad about using it to mix cocktails or anything. So this is why this is one of my go-to brands for bourbon, and I really have gotten fond of this one. But maybe you don't, you're not a Crown Royal guy or a bourbon guy, and maybe you just want good old Jack Daniel's No. 7, good old Black Label Jack Daniel's. And there's nothing wrong with that. I like to have a little bit around in my bar as well, just for the people who like a Jack and Coke, right? So some good things that go with whiskey is, I'm going to talk about syrups a little bit. So I have a simple syrup that I made myself that I keep in the fridge. A lot of people make their simple syrups really, really strong. I make mine a little bit lighter. It does not last as long, but it keeps the sugar content down a little bit. And you don't need a lot to really make a pretty sweet simple syrup. So a simple syrup is really good to pair with whiskey. And if you're pairing a simple syrup with whiskey, you can always have some bitters, some Angostura bitters that I have here in this bottle. Also, I keep in the fridge, and just of course spreads out the mixology stuff all over the house. But that's okay. That's okay. But yeah, whiskey's a really great one to start with, guys. Especially where I live in my part of the world, most people drink whiskey, and it really warms you up, especially in the winter. And some really great cocktails that can be made with whiskey would be things like, the old fashioned, the whiskey sour, or even just a standard Jack and Coke. And that's another thing to keep around, guys. Irregardless of what your first spirit is, get your hands on some Coca-Cola or Pepsi or generic name brand, whatever. But a cola, soda or pop, and maybe a ginger ale as well. Those are going to be extremely versatile, irregardless of what spirit you pick for mixing a good quick drink, you guys. So yeah, whiskey. Okay, guys. So up next we've got rum. You don't need to buy a bottle like this. I didn't buy it. It was a gift, but I have it here because it's funny. It kind of makes me look like an asshole, but that's okay. If you like Appleton Estates, you can buy a big bottle like that. So rum is similar to whiskey in that it's very readily available and super, super versatile and complex in terms of different flavor profiles, because you got dark rums, white rums, Jamaican rums like Appleton Estates, and spice rums too, can't forget those. So I have a few options for that. Obviously, I got the big-ass bottle of Appleton Estates, which I've had for years, by the way. I'm having a hard time getting rid of this stuff because there's just so much of it, and there's usually some better options that I enjoy more in the bar. I also just have standard Bacardi white rum. This stuff is really special, guys. I really have grown fond of this brand, the Bumbu Original. Yeah, this stuff is absolutely delicious, and this is really a sipping rum, like something you want to drink just with some ice, or maybe even without ice, because the flavor is so good. And even if you just smell it, you'll understand what I mean. This is a little bit more expensive, this bottle, though. I mean, I think it's like $56 or something like that. But as long as you savor it and you don't waste it, I think it's very much worth it. Similar to the Wild Turkey 101, it's one of those bottles where you might have to pay a few bucks more. I mean, the Wild Turkey 101's a lot cheaper than this, but you don't feel bad about it because you know the quality of what it is you're getting. So this is a really good option. And when it comes to rum, you guys, I find like rum is really the foundation of a lot of delicious sweeter drinks. So it's good to have sweet things to pair with it. So like this, for example, this is a homemade raspberry simple syrup that I made the other day. It is very, very good, and it just dripped a little bit on the floor. I should get better bottles or something. But anyway, my roommate's staring at me because she doesn't want me to make a mess. But yeah, anyways, this stuff is great mixed with, well, not just rum, but rum especially. I think stuff like this goes really well with it. But if you make a bottle of this, I'm telling you, it's super good to have around in the fridge, because not just for cocktails. Like, you can pour this on ice cream, you can pour it on cheesecake, and it's just on waffles, pancakes, that sort of thing, and it's just a really delicious thing to just have in the back of the fridge somewhere. So a raspberry simple syrup is nice. It's also good to keep some ginger beer around, or some maraschino cherry. I'm not a huge fan of maraschino cherries. I think they're weird. I don't know why, but I do keep them around just for the purposes of mixing cocktails, because sometimes they do help elevate a drink. And then again, too, guys, like, just stick with, the classics. Make sure you have some Coke or Cola. Make sure you have some orange juice. I've already talked about that a bit, so I won't get into it. But, rum, it's a super versatile spirit. You can pair it up with a lot of different things. But in my opinion, it's best paired with, things that are a little bit on the sweeter side. So yeah, things like the raspberry simple syrup and, the maraschino cherries, or just, a Coke is really great. And some good cocktails you can mix using rum are going to be, the mojito, or the blue Hawaiian, the pina colada, or just a standard rum and Coke is with a little bit of lime is always delicious. It's kind of hard to beat a good old Cuba Libre. So yeah, rum. Okay, guys, and the last spirit we're going to talk about today is going to be tequila. Now, I'm going to have to plead ignorance a little bit on this one, guys, because tequila is the one spirit that I probably have the least amount of experience with. I know what it is, I know what it tastes like, but I really don't know much about tequila. But it felt kind of weird leaving it out of this video, because I know there's some really serious tequila people out there. Like, most of my experience with tequila was actually doing shots. Back in my younger days, people always liked to order shots of tequila. I remember one time I was at the bar, I bump into my brother, who was also out. He buys me a shot. He told me it was tequila. It was actually Bacardi 151. Thought I was going to die. He thought it was funny as hell. But that's the story for another video. But anyway, so we got tequila. So for those of you who don't know what tequila is, as I understand it, tequila is actually kind of a smaller substrata of a much larger spirit category, and that is a spirit that is distilled using the agave plant. Did I say that right? Is it agave? Agave plant. That's right. And there's lots of different variations of the plant, but the only species of that plant that produces tequila is the blue Weber agave plant, and that's how you get tequila. One thing I would recommend is, unless you're going to spend a little bit more money on more expensive tequila, which this one is not, buy the silver tequila, because the silver tequila is going to be the tequila in the purest form after it's just been distilled and then it's bottled and sent to market. A lot of these other ones that are flavored, or they're gold or whatever, if they're a nice bottle, they're generally aged properly, but I find a lot of them tend to water them down with coloring and things to just to make it look more authentic. But if you buy the silver tequila, that doesn't happen, and you're just getting the pure spirit. So that's why I generally buy silver tequila, because I don't really know much about tequila. And it's the same for all spirits, for that matter. A lot of them don't get aged properly, and they just kind of get dyed a certain color. But yeah, if you're uncertain with tequila like I am, just buy the silver tequila. That's what I usually do. So some good things to pair with it are going to be things like, again, like it's a spirit that's going to work well with sweeter things. So here I keep these up in my cupboard. This is a sweet and sour and a grenadine. So both different types of syrups, I guess. A sweet and sour is basically a simple syrup and lemon juice 50-50. That's essentially what a sweet and sour is. And then a grenadine is a simple syrup with pomegranate juice, using pomegranate flavor to make it the way it is. And like a good example of a really great tequila cocktail is going to be something like a tequila sunrise, or even just, you know, a standard tequila and pineapple juice is really, really nice, garnished with some fruit. So a lot of tropical drinks can be made with tequila. But again, guys, like it wouldn't be my first spirit to start building up my home bar with, but maybe that's what you guys like to drink, and maybe that's what, you know, you guys like, those tropical drinks, or maybe you just like doing shots. I don't know. Just make sure it's not 151, because then you're in pain. I don't think they make Bacardi 151 anymore. I think they discontinued it. So now actually every once in a while you see online like a bottle of Bacardi 151 comes up and people pay out the ass for it, because I don't know. I was not a fan of it myself. As I've said, I've had some bad experiences with it. But yeah, tequila is a great option, guys, if that's your style. It's not really my style, but still, it's one of those like major spirits that is known the world over, and it's good to have around. And if you want to start your home bar with it, it's a good option, guys. So tequila. And there you have it, you guys. There's how to stock your home bar. Again, like I don't want to tell you guys exactly how to do it, because I don't know exactly how you guys like to drink. So hopefully this gives you guys a rough idea of how to go into thinking about it, so you're not wasting your money and you're really setting yourself up to be able to maximize your home bar and enjoy it the most you possibly can for yourself. And that's all I got for you today, guys. So, you know, hope you enjoyed the video. I had fun hanging out with you guys today. You know, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave a comment if there's something you want to see me mix, if there's something you want to see me taste. Let us know, and we'll make sure we can try to make that happen for you guys. So let's make sure we're drinking responsibly out there. Everybody have a great day. Take care, guys.